So this is going to be just a very short one, and what I'd like to talk about is essentially how to write autism, because I've noticed it's a hot topic now. Everyone talks about neurodevelopmental disorders and all of this, and by extension how it's represented in media. And I've noticed, and because I usually just watch anime, I don't really watch too much live action stuff, but I've heard about, stuff. I've seen a couple trailers at least for movies that I didn't watch because I thought that the way they tackle this is stupid. And even from retelling, from people talking about it, it just feels like such a parody of what autism really is. And it made me think, well, how do you actually write this shit? How do you make a character that's both autistic and believable and doesn't feel like a parody, but feels like an actual representation of what this experience is like? And then I figured it out. The best way to write an autistic character is by not writing an autistic character. And this came as a sort of realization with this one show called Dungeon Mesh. As you might probably know, probably not, one of the main characters, Laios, has been a hot topic because he is perceived as having autistic traits. And it sparked an entire controversy around it. But then the author came out saying that, nah, he's actually not. Which, by the way, if you've actually read the interview, that's not what the author said. People believe that that's what the author said. No, the author said that they never intended for Laios to be autistic. But hey, if some people want to perceive him that way, it is what it is. That's what the author essentially said. And then it clicked. You just don't make it your intent to write an autistic character. You just write an autistic character with some traits that you see around you, and chances are that your character might be autistic. And then you might point to it and be like, yeah, that's actually a good representation. The character that I actually like to talk about is MaoMao from Apothecary diaries. Again, there is no indication that it was the intent for her to be autistic, but it works. She checks off so many boxes of these traits, and yes, if you look into the actual DSM-5, you will find out that autism is all about traits. It's not about some sort of, it's not like a terminal disease that like you need to have a doctor to diagnose your cancer because they see that your cells aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. This is about behavioral patterns, and that's where the traits come from, which is why, although it's called self-diagnosis, it is still kinda valid because it's literally about your own lived experience more than anything. And from that angle, you look at someone like MaoMao, you see how she experiences the world, you see how she sees the world, you see how she interacts with things around her fixations, her sensory issues, her behavior around eye contact, which usually autistic people are described as having issues keeping eye contact. In her case, it's more about unrestricted eye contact because she just doesn't understand the sort of social aspect of what eye contact is and how it's supposed to work in her culture, where in Asian cultures anyway, at least in modern ones, eye contact or direct eye contact is seen as rude, and she just does not subscribe to that. She just, looks at people. unless she consciously knows that, like, oh no, this person could actually cause my death if I'm too rude, and so she's overly cautious about not being too rude until she breaks that and just says whatever the fuck she wants because the person just angered her that much, and she just snaps. Like when she scolds some court ladies for essentially poisoning their lady. It's a whole arc. But yeah, the point is that she isn't meant to be a representation of autism. It just kind of results from her character writing, where the author just sees some interesting character traits that they want to put into a character, and coincidentally, you can say that that's autistic traits. And that's, in my opinion, a lot better way to write this than just, sitting down and being like, okay, I need a story about an autistic character. How do I write an autistic character? And then what you get is an actual caricature. It's happened before many times. I'm sure it will happen again. It's not great. It's actually what perpetuates these negative perceptions of autism. That's why you get people having mental breakdowns when they realize even a hint at the possibility that they might be autistic, because they see this as this negative memed to no end thing that's seen as undesirable, when really it's just like, well, you're a little awkward and you like medicine a little bit too much. What's the big deal? And really the biggest negative aspect is the social one. The biggest negative aspect of autism is that you are ostracized from society. And, perhaps if you actually wanted to write a story intentionally about that, you could put that in, but please consult actual autistic people if you're going to do that, so that you can get their side of the story and get an actual view of like what it's supposed to be like. And if you don't intend to go through that, just write a character with some traits that you see in people around you, and it's going to be what it is. See you in the next one.